Hello, welcome to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, your host. We're coming here through Zoom. Actually, it's StreamYard. It's the same deal, but remote as is most everybody else these days. We have a great guest. One of my absolute favorite organizations around is Gleaners. And we'll get into what Gleaners is. If you don't know, you should learn. Is our senior director for Gleaners, Kristen Sokul. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm happy to have you because I love Gleaners like a lot. Full disclosure, I've offered to pack food and things, but for everybody else, what is Gleaners?
Well, I think probably if anyone knows Gleaners, you're thinking about our food drives and the shelf stable food that we offer. But as a food bank, we're so much more than that. We're really collecting, storing, and distributing huge quantities of food, millions of pounds a year. And we're sort of the hub of a hub and spoke model. So we're not really giving food directly to households in need overall. We're doing that through a partner network. And we have more than 400 partners that include schools, soup kitchens, agencies, what have you, who do serve direct to guests. And that's how we get 75% of our food out into the community. Now, the other way that you may be thinking about how we get food into the community are our community mobiles. And that's what you all saw on TV at the height of the pandemic, where we had various locations around our 5-county service area, which includes Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, Livingston, and Monroe, where people could drive through our food stations without an appointment necessary, get approximately 35 to 40 pounds of food to supplement what they had at home to make sure that our households are taken care of and they know where their next meal is coming from.
So, I mean, the classic idea, I use classic, whatever, of Gleaners is that you take surplus donated food from various sources, whether grocery stores or providers, and distribute it to hungry people. I mean, that's, that. But there's a lot more to it than that, right?
Yeah, overall, our mission really is to solve hunger in Southeast Michigan. And you're right, we do get a lot of our food from farmers and manufacturers, producers, from government funded programs. And we also purchase a significant amount of our food. So if you're thinking about us for our food drives, last year we delivered about 50 million pounds of food to the community. And a little over 1 million of that came from food drives that you may be familiar with. The rest of it came from those other sources. And like I said, we do purchase a significant amount of our food. And you may also be interested to know just how much of that is fresh. So last year, that more than 50 million pounds, 17 million of that was fresh produce. So those really nutritious fruits, vegetables. We distributed a significant amount of fluid milk because those are things that we know households want and need most. And so that's what we want to make sure that we're giving them and meeting them exactly where they are. So again, those 400 partners all throughout Southeast Michigan and our community mobiles, making up the difference where they may not be covered by those partners.
I had no idea about the fresh food. I really didn't. And so that has to take a whole different infrastructure than bringing in, cans and boxes and stuff and packing it up, which is sort of, once again, classic volunteer stuff. How do you deal with fresh and getting it and making sure it's always fresh? Because some of our grocery stores aren't even as good as that.
Well, we're really lucky to get things directly from farms and others. Our produce looks so beautiful. I'm so jealous. I saw a bag of organic Brussels sprouts and I would have eaten every single one of those as a favorite. But the way that we're able to do that, a couple of years ago, we were able to secure a brand new to us facility where we have refrigerated docks so that everything that comes off the truck immediately goes into that refrigerated dock to sort of stage it for us to then put it in our refrigerators. And we're turning that produce over every couple of days to make sure that when it arrives to us fresh, it goes right out into the community fresh. And it wouldn't have been we wouldn't have been able to do that in the way that we do now if it wasn't for the facility that we now have in Taylor that we call our South Campus. It's more than double the size of our headquarters in Detroit.
I think I've been to the place in Taylor just for routine. Once again, a lot of volunteers, and is that you come in and they bring in lots of various food, produce, not produce, cans, and you break those down and you put them into boxes to go out to your partners. But that's like a 1 compared to a 10 to deal with fresh food.
Yeah, I mean, you should see the ginormous containers we have of grapefruit, that we've had of potatoes and various other things. And we're so lucky and thankful to have such a strong volunteer network. Last year, we had more than 17,000 volunteer shifts. And you're so right. We get those big boxes of grapefruit, for example, and it takes volunteers putting 4 grapefruit to a bag so that we can make sure that every one of our mobiles, our partners, have those in bags that are appropriate for household size. And it takes hours upon hours. Just from our volunteers alone, they served more than 50,000 hours last year. And it's because of volunteers that we're able to move things as quickly and efficiently as we do. And so that we really can make the most of our purchasing power as well, so that we can supplement what we get donated with things that we need to buy to make sure we can offer well-rounded nutrition to all of our guests who come to us needing food support.
Well, you can have the Brussels sprouts. No, I'll skip the Brussels sprouts. But the question now has to be, okay, so Gleaners, how did Gleaners begin? Where did it begin? How did that all start? How did this large organization that does so much, how did it begin?
Well, it really was established in 1977 under the thought leadership of Jean Gagne, seeing that there was food going to waste in a country where there was plenty of food to be had. And it's only through partnership and collaboration that this organization has grown to where we are today, because we can't do this work alone. It requires partnerships, again, with food producers, with all of our partner networks to get food out to where it needs to go, with our community members so that we can raise the dollars needed to do all of this important work and solve hunger for our communities. So really taking that idea of the most basic sense that our communities are stronger when everyone is fed, and taking that to the level that we're seeing today of serving more than 700,000 households in the course of a year.
700,000 households. I was going to say, how many people do you feed? And southeast by the whole metro area, you even go into Livingston and Monroe now.
That's right. Yes, we've served a 5 county service area for quite some time. And as recently, I think that it will be helpful to understand just how important it's been for us to be solving hunger in our community. So pre-pandemic, we were doing about 40 million pounds of food a year. And I know it's so hard to envision what a million pounds of food looks like, but just stick with me for a sec. Then we got into the pandemic, and you saw it on TV. There were lines and tons of people who are coming out and saying, I need support right now. You might remember Michigan was shut down at the time, and we had our most significant year ever in which we distributed more than 71.4 million pounds at the height of the pandemic. Coming to today, we had started to level out as the pandemic crisis was ending, but then on its tail, inflation started happening. And so month over month, we saw more and more people coming to our distributions. And it's because even though at the height of the pandemic, we had all of these government programs, they didn't last as long as the need in the community did. So unfortunately, we are still seeing a significant amount of households that are still struggling. And last year, again, we did that more than 50 million pounds of food. Now, we're restricted, of course, by how much food we can bring in, how much donations we can bring in. We probably could continue to still serve more with more resources, but it's so important to make sure that our neighbors are being taken care of, because not everyone has come out of the pandemic and inflation ahead, where they're still struggling, still need to help our community members.
No, a lot of people haven't come out of the pandemic and the shutdowns ahead, or even where they were before. Lots.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, see, I remember, recessions. Geez, I go back. I know how far back, where the lines are out the door. I mean, the early '80s. The lines would be around the corner, would be around the building. And then I remember in the '90s where you couldn't fill the jobs. There were so many people. So, what's going now? Now, in between those two extremes, I understand there's need, but
Yeah.
Where are we now?
Well, overall, we are 30% higher than we were last year. And last year, we were already seeing growing need coming out of the pandemic. So the challenges that we're still seeing households, particularly those with children and where seniors live in households with children, where food insecurity is still significantly higher than pre-pandemic. And some of it is systemic need, right? The things that we know about what the effects of poverty on households, that sort of systemic challenge. But there's also people who were just on the edge of making it. And when their household expenses became so much higher with inflation, you take that just making it and you get pushed over the edge a little bit. And so we're helping people in a wide range of challenges, whether it's, again, that systemic challenge where you need help for longer, or maybe you've just had a recent challenge. Let's think about this. Sometimes we get feedback from community members that they've seen a car that maybe looks nicer than they expected in our distribution line. And I understand that. But think about that individual may be in a household where their main breadwinner lost their job, had a health issue that took them out for a couple of months, and they know that they can get back on their feet. They just need that little bit of support, someone to walk with them for those couple of months to get them by. And we're going to walk with them for those couple of months. We're going to walk with our community members, our neighbors, to make sure that they can take that next step on their journey, because our communities are stronger when everyone is fed. When our kids can go to school with full bellies, they can learn the things they need to learn. When employees go to work fully fed, they can do all of the things they need to do at work. They're absent less. When our seniors can take their medicine with food, which most people do have to take their medicine with food, they're healthier longer. That is better for our healthcare systems. So it's not just about heartfelt generosity, which we have. It also is about making all of our systems stronger so that we can live in better neighborhoods and better communities just by offering the basic need of fulfilling hunger.
Well, and also it's not like there isn't food. And when you have food that is, whatever form, going to waste, that's wasting food while you have need. Something in the middle isn't working. And if you can get people are throwing the stuff away, that's all perfectly good. Bringing it back in, it to my mind, that's simple sanity.
I mean, it really is. I mean, nobody wants to see someone go hungry, a child go hungry, when we know that we have so much food in this country. And could we create the systems to make sure that that surplus food gets to people who need it? And so that's why it's such a joy to work for Gleaners and to work with our other food bank partners. There are 7 food banks serving a variety of partner agencies and soup kitchens and what have you across the state. And so working with all of these wonderful collaborators to make sure that the entirety of Michigan has a system that can take care of our neighbors and build those stronger communities.
Well, now, and it's not just, for many years you think, okay, well, Detroit has got problems and poverty, and it's not any. That is not so. That is most certainly not so.
Oh, hunger does not have a face, and it does not have a geographic boundary. We know that there is hunger in every single neighborhood of the communities that we serve. Again, those 5 counties. And you may be interested to know that 9 of the 10 counties where food security is incredibly high are rural. So I know we think a lot about the inner city and urban areas as being places where you may need more support, but think about those rural areas where maybe you don't have a grocery store very nearby. Maybe you do have lower access to things like fresh produce. And how do we create access for those individuals as well to make sure that they're taken care of?
Well, there's also an awful lot of rural poverty and it goes outside the radar screen, but it's there. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back with Kristen Sokul, a senior director at Gleaners, and we'll find out what you're a senior director of and what you do as well. I'm Chuck Moss. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Eye on Oakland.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Take control at ready.gov/olderadults.
Welcome back to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, and we're talking with Kristen Sokul, Senior Director at Gleaners. We've talked about what Gleaners does. Gleaners is a very important nonprofit organization, basically getting surplus food and putting it through to people who need it. But ask you a quick question. So, Senior Director, what do you do at Gleaners?
What don't I do? I love that you shortened my title because it would take up the rest of this time as Senior Director of Advancement Communications Marketing and Media PR. So what that means is I'm part of our fundraising team and our communications team so that I can help everyone understand just how important their support is to help us do the work that we do. So for us, fundraising is incredibly important. It's how we keep the lights on. It's how we continue to have our trucks on the road. It's how we can purchase the food that we need. And we make every dollar count. So for every dollar that's donated, we can provide 3 meals into the community. So just $1 can help feed a person for an entire day. That's definitely a value that I'm interested in. And at multiple times during the year, we also have sponsors who match us. So when we have a match campaign going on, like we do currently through May 7th, $1 provides 6 meals. So I don't know about you, but I cannot feed myself and my family for $1 for 2 days. So it's an incredible opportunity to make a significant impact.
Well, as you've mentioned, there is inflation going on, and geez, I remember the last time inflation got touched off, and it was wasn't easy. It wasn't fun, that's for sure. And getting rid of it wasn't easy or fun as well. So keep our eyes open for going forward. Now, as far as how did you come to do this? Of all the things that you could do with your life, my father was communications and marketing for Dow Chemical, so I grew up with marketing and communications. But how did you come to do this of all things?
Thank you so much for asking that because so often we ask our colleagues why Gleaners, and everyone has such an important and often personal story, and mine is in fact personal. When I was growing up, I was part of a family that was served by local pantries and churches who were doing the right thing to make sure community was taken care of. And it was only because we were able to get some of that donated food and be part of government programs that I didn't realize just how poor my family was. So having the opportunity to be part of Gleaners, where I can give back to the very systems that gave me the opportunity to be successful, is absolutely something that I'm incredibly interested in and privileged to be part of every single day with an incredible team.
Well, I'm going to say, as a communications professional, you're doing very well. What is advancement communications?
Advancement communications is just our fancy way of saying that I work in the fundraising department, and that's helping us advance our work. I'm lucky to work with a team where it's not just about our communications, but it is about the multi-layered fundraising that is necessary to keep us going. So we are so lucky to have so many individuals in the community who give to us year after year, but we also have important corporate relationships that we need to manage, folks who can give through donor advised funds or even through planned giving. And so managing all of those different types of revenue streams takes quite a bit of work. And so I'm so lucky to work with a team that's incredibly gifted in supporting our donors in all the ways that they want to give to us.
Well, teams are good, no doubt about that. Now, here's my question: we know about the food drives, about the food, but you do a lot more than that. I mean, whatever. I know you have check your website. You have nutrition programs. You have healthcare. What else do you do?
You're so right. Well, most of what we do is giving food out, but also it's about educating households and how to use it. And we have an incredible nutrition education team who delivers curriculum in a couple of ways so that folks who come and get food from us, they get recipes from us too and how to use it. We also support budgeting. So how you can make the most of $1 when you go to the grocery store and supplement some of the items that we're giving. Because it's incredibly important not just to provide the food, but knowing how to use it. Otherwise, it'll go to waste. Because there's a few things where I wouldn't know how to make it if I received it. And so having that opportunity to learn about here are the different ways that you can prepare it. Or if there's something that we've had to give out multiple times in a row, maybe I need a new idea on how I'm going to use those potatoes or the nuts that I'm receiving. And so it's so fortunate that we have a nutrition education team to help, again, walk alongside our guests so that they're empowered to make that next step as they're managing their households.
Now, we talk about sources. Obviously, you got the volunteers, you got all the people that get the food out to the people who need it, where does the food come from? I mean, you mentioned farms, but where else?
Yeah, farms are incredibly important, obviously, with us getting that fresh food out, but also manufacturers and retailers. We have really strong relationships with grocers so that we can get surplus from them. And again, we do purchase quite a bit of the food that we distribute. So that's making sure that we have relationships with vendors where we can get the best price if we know that we need to supplement, say, some of the protein that we're offering. And then government programs are incredibly important. We do get a significant amount of food from the USDA, and we also are able to purchase fresh food through the MASS program, which is offered through the state of Michigan, the Michigan Agricultural Surplus System.
Now that's funny. That's one I hadn't heard of. So the state programs. I mean, are you getting how do I put this? Sufficient support from the state of Michigan?
Well, I think that government relations is outside of my particular area, but there's always support being offered and more support that could be needed.
Well, let me put it to you this way. That was a somewhat loaded question. Could you get more support from the state of Michigan? Maybe we might know some people that could help.
I think the best way to answer that question is that we know that we're not able to address all of the need with the current resources that we have. There are pockets of need that we're still not reaching. And so until every single household in southeastern Michigan is fully food secure, we're always going to say that we need more support.
Well said. And my question now is volunteers. You couldn't do it without volunteers. And how do you get volunteers to get involved? If someone is watching this and saying, gee, this sounds like something I might like to do, through churches, service? I'll tell you, service clubs definitely do.
So there's a couple of ways that you can help us in our work. One is you absolutely could go to your local church or pantry, whatever suits you, and make sure that you put in a few hours with them. But Gleaners also has a robust volunteer portal where you can look into, do you want to come work at our South Campus and pack some of those grapefruit or potatoes that I was talking about, putting together our shelf-stable packages for our mobiles. We're also looking for people that can support some of our mobiles. So being out in the community and making sure that we're loading up those cars so that they can move on to their next thing. So the easiest way to support us, whether it is $1 from your pocket or time from your heart, is to go to gcfb.org, like Gleaners Community Food Bank.org.
gcfb.org.
That's right, gcfb.org. And you can find all of our volunteer opportunities through that. You can also donate, and you can learn how you could participate in or establish a food drive on our behalf. We have physical food drives, which is very much what you're used to, where you can collect some cans, boxes, anything that's in plastic, no glass, please. We're looking for fruits and vegetables in a shelf-stable way for that. Or you can establish a virtual food drive, which has been really fun, something that really came out of the pandemic, where we have online food drives that are donation driven, and we've had competitions with those virtual food drives. So it really can become a fun team way to make a big difference in the community.
Okay, now that's good for people who want to help. Now, if someone's watching this and thinks, I could probably use some help, I for whatever reason, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. Thanks for offering that, because we know that far too often families struggle for too long before they come and get help. You've exhausted all of your other resources, and sometimes it's hard to come out and ask for help. And so if you do need support, please don't wait. You can go to pantrynet.org, and we have all of our partners listed there, everyone from that 400 strong partner network. And we have all of our community mobiles listed there. We run mobiles 5 days a week, every single week. And so if you need support, please reach out. Again, that's pantrynet.org. And if you don't want to go online, you could also call 211. United Way supports that phone line, and you'll be able to talk to someone who can get you resources close to where you live.
So you can call 211 or foodpantry.net.
It's pantrynet.org.
Sorry, my fault. Pantrynet.org. Now you keep using the term mobiles. What are those?
Thank you for asking. Our mobiles just mean that they are areas where we provide food distributions that aren't stationary. So we have a variety of locations, more than 20, where we will set up in a parking lot or other area where cars can drive through. Stations of food to pick up bags of shelf-stable food, as well as fresh produce, and we offer milk at those locations too. No, we only ask that you are a person who does need food support, but otherwise you do not need an appointment. We don't take any information down. If you say that you need support, you can come to one of those mobiles, and you'll be supported with food.
So by a mobile, let's say that I need it, and how do I know where a mobile might be and how to go and connect with it?
Yeah, we have a list of all of our available mobiles, again, 5 days a week on our website. You can get those at pantrynet.org, and it'll give you the exact address, location, and distribution time. And if you don't remember pantrynet.org, you could go to gcfb.org, and we'll provide that information to you there as well.
gcfb.org or Pantrynet, whichever is easier to remember. So good. And since most people have phones now and they can go look that up. Mm-hmm. So there is, bottom line is Gleaners is a very, very large, very active organization, but it can't do it without help and volunteers. Volunteers are very, very good. I'll be honest, I've done it. It's great. It's fun. I've got one more thought to leave us with. Have at it.
Well, I appreciate, again, the opportunity for our community members to just understand how important it is for us to solve hunger in our communities. Again, we are stronger when we work together, and taking care of our neighbors is a way for us all to be more successful, because everybody wins when hunger is solved.
Yes, children can't learn, people can't be productive. And there's no reason for it to happen when there is so much surplus food to throw it away when there are hungry people. Well, we appreciate Kristen Sokul, Senior Director from Gleaners. And once again, Gleaners was founded in 1977.
That's right, 1977. A long time ago and not that long ago.
Some of us remember it, but as much else that was in the era of disco, we have somehow repressed that knowledge. No, I was never into disco, so that's good idea. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your coming on the show. And one last time, let's put the where to contact for help, or if you want to help.
Yes, whether you need help or you can give help, please go to gcfb.org.
Or pantrynet.org.
That's right.
That's right. Well, thank you very much, Kristen Sokul. And I will not try to repeat the whole title. I couldn't get it on one line. That's why I shortened it.
That's fair.
Senior Director of many things at Gleaners. And thank you for joining us. I'm Chuck Moss, and to all of you, thank you all for joining us here on Eye on Oakland.